companies that are working together to create a common mobile operating system that will run across devices, that will facilitate open access on devices and across and across networks as well. LiMo's members work together to create this operating system based on market-proven code being pulled from their existing handsets and their existing networks that will be fed into a new operating system that can then be redeployed on a global basis. The net effect of this will be a wide array of handsets distributed to consumers that will run applications consistently across the different handset models and across networks on a global basis. So that's LiMo Foundation. We've been around for around a year and a half. Our members represent over 500 million mobile subscribers, and our OEM, our handset manufacturers, represent 3 of the top 5 manufacturers who collectively ship hundreds of millions of handsets per year. And so I think what's interesting about LiMo is that it reflects this broad industry trend towards openness and towards collaboration. The fact that we have an operating system that has code from fierce competitors sitting side by side in a single distribution really reflects the need and the consumer demand for richer services and for more compelling services, and it's really pushed these companies to work together to find a solution. So I think that the advent of mobile broadband, faster devices, will really kind of bring this all of this together in a converged way, and will make openness a reality. Now, when looking at openness, you have to ask, well, how do we make this happen? And especially when you're looking at a mobile device, right? And so our feeling is that the operating system in a mobile device will transform from something that it is today, which is on your phone, right? It's just basically taking input and taking commands in and outputting either a phone call or a message or maybe a command to go look at a website. But suddenly the operating system becomes this center point of mediation, right? And so the next generation mobile OS is going to be mediating technology. It's going to be mediating underlying platforms. It's going to have to deal with different types of content and licensing models and business models. So the next generation OS then is not just a piece of technology, but it's really about the governance that enables that OS. And for the next generation of services and applications to really take off and be developed and deployed on a global scale, it's important that this layer of operating system technology reflect the input of the entire mobile industry and the industry beyond, the broader communications industry. And so that's what LiMo is doing, right? So we've established a governance model that allows any company to get involved in the shaping of our platform. Any company can distribute the platform to make sure that we'll have optimal distribution and implementation of a common mobile operating system on a global basis, which in turn will enable and allow for development and deployment of more meaningful applications, again, across networks and across open devices. So I'm looking forward to the conversation on the panel and to speaking to some of you afterwards as well.
Silent cell phones. Crick, you're up.
Okay, so let me give you guys a little bit of context, because I'm not an attorney or regulator, and I'm not building an open source thing, but I'm a business guy, and I feel the pain of everybody on all sides of the equation here. Ribbit is a telephony platform. So what we've done is we've taken core carrier type infrastructure and we've built a bunch of services on top of that, and then there's an API. The API allows third-party developers to create, we call it voiceware. Think about it like software or web-based workflow, but you can embed voice into that. And we often get this question about, you call yourself an open telephony platform, yet you control the source code, you control the switch, you control all these aspects of it. And we say, yes, we do. We say it's open because we don't restrict access. Anybody can come, they can get an account, and they can use the code to create an application. And so there's a difference here between, in our world, between what we consider like an open source activity where lots of people can manipulate the code and there's group decision-making processes. That's very different than what we're doing, and we're faced with things like economics, privacy, security, and service assurance. And we have to maintain all those 4 aspects of an open telephony platform in order to deliver a service to the end user. So I think about some of the comments that Bill made around broadband. Broadband is really important to our business and to our end users. And so from a consumer perspective, if you're purchasing broadband from a service provider, the thought that that service provider is going to then restrict what services you might have access to gets you all in a furrow. And I can completely understand that. So that's one category. Then there's what I would call the business proprietary category. And so that's more like our own standard. It's business proprietary. We designed it, we built it, we're delivering it, and it's defined by our service. Then there's what I would call the regulated monopoly providers. In the old days, cable was a regulated monopoly, and so basically they were well, think about wireline. Wireline is a regulated monopoly. There's only one wire to your house. When in 1996, when the FCC decided to open that up and say, okay, well, now we're going to make you sell unbundled loops. The reason why the thought behind that was that in order to foster competition, you have to be able to share that access point. So when we look at open networks or open solutions, I have to think about regulated monopolies, which do need some attention, I think. There's business proprietary. So if Fios brings a fiber line out to your house and you buy their service, I think they have every right to deliver Fios-enabled services on that. If you're buying consumer broadband and you're paying for internet access, then I think you shouldn't be restricted by your internet access provider what services you should get. So a little context there.
Yeah, a question for you.
Yeah.
Ribbit describes itself as a telephony platform, and a lot of people are saying, I think if I had to describe that on a test, I wouldn't pass the test. So what's a telephony platform?
So that's a great question, Gary. When I was at AT&T before we started Ribbit Company, and what I found was at AT&T we always had these really constrained and defined solutions. So you could get these features and you could deliver them in this package for this price point. But customers would come to us and say, well, what I really want to do is make a phone call happen on this business event or this trigger, or I need to send an SMS when this other thing happens, or I want to put voiceover in this phone over here has to be able to call this computer over here and be able to conference. We couldn't do that. I mean, without spending huge amounts of money. The equipment, the technology, and the architecture, the billing system, all the network applications weren't structured to be able to achieve that. So what we did is we started from scratch with an all-IP soft switching technology, and we built up what I call it a cloud telephony service. We interconnect with all the major carriers. So from an access, origination, and termination standpoint, it looks just like any other network. And then we added it's a Flash gateway. Now any web page that can run Flash can act like an endpoint on the global telephony network. And we used an API written in Flex and Flash to allow web developers now to do those things I just talked about. So if you have a CRM application in your organization or some other workflow like supply chain management, and an order comes in, you want to trigger an SMS out, or you want to make a phone call go from here to there, you can do that using the API. And so we call it a platform because it's designed for developers. We launched in January. We have about over 4,500 registered developers so far. So it's very exciting, the applications that they're creating on the platform.
Thanks, appreciate it. Andrew, this morning, Nokia announced that it is buying all of the remaining stock of Symbian that it doesn't already own. It has also announced that within, say, 2 years, it's going to take all of that intellectual property, contribute it to the Symbian Foundation, which is now going to go GPL license or some license, I'm not sure it's GPL, and basically become an open source mobile operating system. Number one, what does that mean? What does that mean for you? And what does it mean for people who are in the telecom industry?
Yeah, that's a great question, and the timing today is really fortuitous, actually, for this panel. So, frankly, LiMo is thrilled by today's announcement from Symbian. LiMo was launched in January of 2007. We've been talking about the importance of openness and collaboration for mobile operating systems since then, and to have another organization from within the mobile ecosystem, someone with Symbian's background, embrace openness and kind of follow the same kind of foundation direction that we've taken is A, flattering, but B, very, very positive.